everyone. Welcome to Life Accounts and Growing Pains. Today I wanted to talk to you about apartment dwelling etiquette, or maybe you live in condos. It's close living etiquette, right? The reason I wanted to bring this up is because I know I have my daughter, she's going through a hard time with living in apartments, and not so much her, but as the other people around her. So I wanted to come on today and talk about this because it seems like right now, or especially the town I live in, there is a lot more apartment buildings going up. And so let's talk about it. Like, is there a difference between living in a house versus living in an apartment, right? So, okay, number one, apartment dwelling. How quiet are you supposed to be? That is a question. How quiet are you supposed to be? I've lived in condos and apartments both growing up, and I lived in houses when I was growing up. How quiet are you supposed to be? I just say, like, no rough housing. After, like, sometimes it's in the people's lease, they have to be quiet at a certain time, but usually there's a noise ordinance in the county you live in. A lot of times it's from like 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. is your normal time, but any time before, or any time after 10, but before 7, you have to be quiet. And then what is considered quiet? I know for my daughter, like, they live in duplexes, but it's like an apartment, right? You have your neighbor is connected right to you. So how quiet are you supposed to be? But for my daughter, she don't even have my grandson's bed next to the wall, the sharing wall. She has the bed adjacent or across. So the bed is on the inside wall. But when you do that, you put your bed on the inside wall, then that would mean more so than not that your TV is on the sharing wall. And at that point, it can be a distraction for the person. And so just take into consideration yelling, rough housing, talking loud, having your music on loud, different stuff. You just have to take that into consideration, because not everybody shares the same music preference as you, and maybe somebody's on a different schedule than you, and so you just want to keep it down, right? And so once you keep it down, then you're like, then when can I be loud? Okay, well, if you know that maybe you know their work schedule, because have you ever been around somebody that sleeps, they work graveyard but sleeps during the day, but that's hard because the other person, your neighbors, have a normal schedule. And so it's all about being patient with each other, understanding that everybody's journey is different. Everybody has a different life. Everybody's family is different as well. And so that's just something to think about, right? Just saying, just something to think about. I remember a long time ago in my 20s, I lived by myself. No animals, no kids, no nothing, just by myself. And I worked 12-hour days. I worked 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., and then every other week it changed, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And yet my neighbors said I was very loud, and which I found it ironic because there's only 24 hours in the day. So how can I have been loud? And I didn't even own a TV, mind you. I did not even own a TV. How can I have been loud if I'm at work 12 hours a day? Then you sleep about 8 hours. That's 20 hours of the day. So how am I loud? But then I really started thinking about it. It's because my alarm clock back then was my big stereo, right? It was, well, a ghetto blaster, if you will. And that's what my alarm was. So I woke up to blaring music to wake me up. Back in that day, there was no cell phone to wake you up, right? It wasn't a nice calming whatever. I actually had a stereo that woke me up. So I'm thinking maybe that's what his complaint was, because other than that, there was no way I could have been loud. And also jumping up and down, like your kids jumping on furniture, just playing, just being kids. And that can be loud, especially if you're the person above, right? And then the person below can hear all the noise. But you gotta please take that into consideration. If you are the person that lives below, just take that into consideration. Life happens. You can hear footsteps, you can hear showers, you can hear wash machines and dryers and dishwashers. You can hear all these things. So please do not be the person that calls the manager all the time. They're being loud, they're being loud, because we are just human beings, right? And we're all trying to dwell together in harmony as best as possible. I'm not saying that there isn't a time and a situation not to call or to call the manager, because you do have critical times that you need to call the manager and tell them or make a complaint or share a concern, but not all the time. I'm just saying not all the time. And especially I think it's also hard when the units that you live in they welcome dogs. They're dog friendly units. I feel that that's really hard as well, because not only are you dealing with dogs, but you're also dealing with the barking or the crying or the going out into the lawn, and maybe the owner, it doesn't pick up their potty messes that they make, or maybe the dog gets into your planters or stuff like that. Talk to the owner, have open communication when it comes to your neighbors. It's really try to approach it in a nice, direct manner if you can. Try to address it. I know with my daughter, like, they've even tried to poison her dog. Yeah, it's just a hot mess. I know, it's just a hot mess of what's going on. And so finally she got cameras, and then a lot of that stopped happening, right? They were putting like a decon, I think it was decon out, and different stuff for the dog. And so just saying, yeah, or putting poison in like hot dogs or whatever. So just be considerate and think about it when you move in. If you're not a pet person, then try to move into a place that doesn't allow pets, right? So you don't have to deal with that, and then that won't become a stressor for you. I know when I grew up in an apartment, they were huge, thousands of people. And I grew up in the city, and my mom, because there was like if they're labeled A to Z or 1 through 50, the apartment complexes, like the big buildings, then my mom always went to the other end of where she saw the playground, right? So we knew we wouldn't have to deal with the kids, the family stuff, the ongoings like that. So we lived on the other end, and so we didn't have to deal with those types of distractions or noises. But also, when I lived by myself, I did not feel safe living on the regular floor, so I lived up above. I loved living on the 3rd floor, 4th floor, like that, right? And so that made me feel comfortable, but then other people felt more comfortable living on the ground floor. And also, what I also recommend, if you're not quite apartment dweller, try to find a unit on the end that don't have any neighbors on one of the sides. And I find that that's kind of helpful. At least you don't have both neighbors like saying something and to you, or you don't have both noise and distraction from both sides. It's just food for thought. I know this is a good topic because, like I said, the communities are growing. It feels like our little cities are becoming bigger. So just take into consideration. I'm trying to think of other things. Banging on walls. Like, I know for my grandson, he's like, Grandma, I love our home, that him and his mom are at, but the neighbor scares him because they're always banging on the wall. And it's really intimidating, and it also makes you wonder this, and I'm gonna say this, and I'll be like, yeah, I said what I said, but sometimes I wonder if you have single moms, the neighbors, are they as rude, right, to you, or are they nicer to you? Because I want to venture out and almost say, like, if that was a complete family, like a mom, a dad, and the kids, if the dad was in the picture, would the neighbor still be acting like that? I really, really wonder about that. Or let's say you had a dude, like a single dad as kid and the dog, would the neighbor act like that? Or is it intimidation on the daughter, right? On the single female. So if some part of me feels like I feel that way, there's other situations to back that up. But if you are one of those, let's try to recognize it and rectify it and just say, okay, don't try to be intimidating to somebody else, because they're doing the best they can to live and to commingle with everybody, right? And so everybody's journey is different. We cannot put ourselves completely in their shoes. We do not know how they feel. We do not know how people think. Not everybody understands that there is apartment etiquette. Just try to be polite, try to be courteous, try to be quiet, try to just take into consideration other people that live around you. But all right, everyone, I don't know what to say. I want to say in this video, but then let's talk about house parties. Like I remember back in the day, we used to have house parties. If you can avoid having like parties at your house, that would be good. I feel that there's other places to have parties, but then again, it's better to party at home so you're not partying and drinking and driving and all this other stuff. So I mean, that's like a catch-22, if you will. But it's just food for thought. There's so much, this video can go on and on, I'm very sure. So if you have any comments, please leave them below. We would love to hear about you and your journey. But I will see you on the next video.